Hey folks, it's me, Sara Wiseman. It's been a bit since I've been here, so wanted to take a moment today to talk a little bit about Pluto in Aquarius, which is what some astrologers have called like the biggest shift or the only shift that we need to pay attention to. We're also in the middle of quite a bit of retrograde, but that's sort of like the smaller or the companion the companion shift to this Pluto in Aquarius. So I want to talk about it a little bit. I don't approach this, I'm not an astrologer. I don't approach this from astrology point of view because that isn't my background. I approach this from what I continue to see both with my own intuitive journeying, where I, go in and ask questions and look for information from the guides, for example, and also what I continue to receive in channeling all the time, including some really interesting new messages from beings that I'm going to call the star guides at this point. You won't hear about that more until 2025 because I'm just compiling it now, but that is coming through hot at this moment and just trying to make room and take that information down as it comes in. Most recent is what we've been working on lately is the Gabriel messages. You've probably seen that book out there, and if you can get a copy, it's just like, I just channeled it. I didn't write it, so I can say it's amazing. Here's what they wanted to say. I just wanted to give you a little piece around what we're going through right now and how to sort of navigate that or think about that or work with that or find support from that in your own life, because it's a very scary, confusing time. So from the Gabriel messages, the channeling is change. What is the purpose of change? Change makes room for a new status quo. Change shakes us up. Change dismantles the grip of old habits and old views. Change points us in a new direction that we have not seen and could not see before. When everything is shifting and the ground is sliding fast, it is hard to get our footing. It is hard to stabilize. But what if stability was not the point? Change changes us. I'll say that part again. Change changes us. Change gets us unstuck. The result of all change, whether perceived as positive or dreaded as negative, is a way of clearing the board so that what is new can arrive. So this idea of change makes room for the new status quo, and change dismantles the grip of old habits and old views. And this is exactly what's happening as Pluto has already left a few days ago. Pluto left Capricorn and now it's in Aquarius. We all know Aquarius is the sign of the collective, human rights, the community, the group, everyone being together. Whereas Capricorn is old school, old view, strict, just kind of like all the old, the patriarchal ways, the business ways, the structures. And we've been talking forever about structures will fall. So here's where it's happening. I don't know how you felt a few days ago when this shift happened of Pluto going into Aquarius, but I felt it a lot. I made some pretty radical changes in some of the things that I do, some of the offerings I have, or just in my own life. I made some pretty radical changes. I had just been thinking about it, and boom, that came in almost like not even knowing that I had decided, I made these changes on that time frame, going forward in a new way, becoming free from old habits and old views. So Pluto is going to be in Aquarius until 2044. And one of the other pieces that has continually come through in the channeling is that we are on the brink, or practically at this very, very new technology that has not come forward yet. It's actually not AI. Maybe AI helps us create this new technology, is sort of what I'm starting to think about. Anyway, this new technology comes into play very, very soon. And this makes sense to me because Pluto was in Capricorn, and some of you know this already from, so the last time it was around short of 250 years ago, but Pluto was in Capricorn last time Pluto went into Aquarius was 1778 to 1798. And these were the dates of French Revolution, American Revolution, the Bill of Rights, and a humanitarian effort, for those times. And also the Industrial Revolution started then. And what I feel, or what I've received, is that when in this new stage of Pluto into Aquarius until 2044, it's like 20 years, this new technology comes forward. And I believe it's a new communications technology. I believe that because we've already gotten to the internet age, so it's a step beyond that. Like, how can we communicate? How can we have the collective be with each other? How can we all have an equal voice, not just, voting, if that's actually an equal voice, I have no idea. How can we have an equal voice in the say of what happens on our home, which is not our country or our city, but it's our planet? And of course, this brings up the question, why would humans have the only voice? Of course they wouldn't. This idea of the collective soul, which is all conscious beings, coming into agreement together. So this is where we're at. And what I find so interesting is that this is coming at a time when we have so much disruption in political and business political situations. But we have a president-elect who's at this point just shaking up the status quo, making these really off the wall, never before seen appointments and plans, and it's all about dismantling the grip of old habits and old views. And actually what I think a lot of these plans are doing are trying to solidify the grip of old habits and old views. But the bigger system at hand is that the old habits and old views are going away. So there's this grasping onto what has already gone. And that's one of the reasons everything is so confusing right now. We all sense this time is over, the time of, just some words, patriotism, colonialism, racism, genderism, misogyny, control of the few control the many, uneven resources, just uneven opportunities, just all of this. We all collectively know it's going away. We don't want it anymore. Maybe at some not our education, in our awareness level, we desired sort of this these people will be in charge, so we don't have to think about it, and we'll just let them be in charge and we'll follow along. And now with the advent of the internet revolution that already has happened, we're communicating with each other, and we're like, we don't need this top-down style of leadership, especially when it's not based in common good, especially when it's based in, common bad, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty rough. So collective soul is just saying this doesn't work. The old habits, the old views don't work. And so when we see this kind of last ditch grab for all that stuff, it's very worrisome, except for it can't hold, it can't stay. And, one of the things that happens is we start to go into fear and panic mode when things start changing. This idea of when everything is shifting and the ground is sliding fast. You can't figure out what's happening. Your personal situation gets wonky. You start reading the news or listening to the news, and it's hard to get our footing. And so how do we stabilize in that time? And what I have found to be the most useful is connecting with the guides, because that information does not come from a news stream. That information comes from the helper beings who are above the level of human consciousness, and also it comes from our collective soul. So we are able to know what is truth outside of what we're being told the reality is. We're allowed to know reality. The other thing that's really useful is to feel in your body how things actually are. And so when we have fear or panic, or we get on edge, or we have anxiety, those can be very real reactions to sort of this, almost like this general pattern is happening, and then there are these blips of resistance as people try and hang on to the old. But if we can feel in our body that what is really happening is that we are going to a new awareness level, we are transitioning to a new awareness level right now, it's easier to sort of calm our nervous system and calm down and sort of trust in the process of what is really happening. I want to read a little bit from the Gabriel messages. Let me just see. And this is about this idea of getting rid of false information. And just from the fact that you're on, or I'm on, YouTube or podcast right now, means you and I are probably out roaming around trying to get information that helps us make sense of this new reality. So one of the things is be very discerning on what you're looking at. And instead of just saying what I say or saying what someone else says and just accepting it as truth, take all that variety of information and go in and discern with your body, how does that feel? And then go into meditation and ask the guides, is this how it is? And like mostly they're going to say, no, that's a bunch of nonsense. Like there's so much conspiracy theory on both sides. The polarity is so divided that anytime you're going on one side or the other, you're not going to be getting the true reality of what's actually unfolding. So based on your note, I'm going to read this out loud. It's again, the Gabriel messages. Based on your knowing of oneness, which is the collective, you already know that the path is to get the mind out of the way by eliminating the common distractions of mainstream or dominant society, and by providing the etheric work of meditations, prayer, dreaming, being. You can do this through the body. You can do this through nature. You can do this through dreaming. You can do this through prayer. You can do this through meditation. In the formal way, we call this entering in or expanding out, or both. But this practice of attaching to the etheric realms will give the mind something to notice and also a way to feel awe. And I really love that phrase, and I've said this before, but like, if you have a busy day, meditate 1 hour. If you have a really busy day, meditate 2 hours that day. Like meditation, and by meditation, I mean the practice of going in and connecting with your guides and saying, what do I need to know today? What do I need to pay attention to? What's actually happening? Doing that work clears all of the false information away. It clears out all of the news feeds, all of the stuff that's coming in, people arguing, people having their opinions. And it gives you just this truer sense. What's really happening, I've found from my meditation, is that we are in a process of radical transition from the old way into the new. I suppose I wouldn't be as excited about this if we were going from a place of freedom into a place of constriction, right? But it's the opposite right now. Capricorn is constriction, Aquarius is freedom and liberation and human rights and equality and community and collective. So those ideas resonate with me, and hopefully they're resonating with you. When they talk about in these messages, when you understand oneness, if we understand oneness as everyone is a part of, it's a soul collective that all consciousness is a part of, we are part of that collective. And it can never be separated because consciousness is infinite and eternal. It cannot be extinguished. You know, when you die, your brain dies, but your consciousness does not die. It's part of the infinite, expanding awareness that is everything. So when we understand that oneness cannot have separation, we understand clearly that these old views of separating, where I get and you don't, or I'm better and you're worse, or we're chosen and you're not, all of those are completely incorrect. The only way forward is to move into this idea of we are part of collective, and the collective in agreement is what leads us to more expansion. Kind of loaded words. If you're newer to them, just sit with them. I teach a lot about this. These ideas have been coming to me in channeled writing for, I don't know, I think it's 20 years now, right? So I'm pretty familiar with the lingo, but you can just start reading and see what you think. Anyway, Pluto has just come into Aquarius. I am extremely excited. I have not quite found exactly what I'm supposed to do, but I know I'm supposed to teach. I know I'm specifically supposed to teach the students that want to learn these techniques. And I know I'm also supposed to teach in this more general way, these spiritual teachings that are coming through in channeling. And that feels like enough to keep me pretty busy. You have your own task, different than mine, because we all have our own unique contribution to the whole. So I would guess that probably around now, you're starting to feel like, oh, this thing that I've always wanted to do, like it's time now. There's no reason to delay. Like it's the right time to put this in motion. especially if those things are moving toward this idea of oneness, the collective, a higher level of being. That's what's happening now. A lot to say. I'm going to try and come back. We have the monthly forecasts, as you know. We have the weekly teachings, which are a little delayed. They're all on the podcast, but they're not all on YouTube. So, you know, be patient. I'm getting to it. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life. And please also, if you want to work with me, the Intuition University is, we register 4 times a year. At the time of this recording, we're in active registration right now. I'd love to work with you as a student. We have courses that are low cost and will take you in this deep experience of the guides. We have tons of these books. The channeled teachings, the Gabriel messages is the most recent. And here it is. It's backwards, but yeah, it's good. And anyway, please find me at sarawiseman.com, and I would love to explore this field with you. Thank you for listening.